To start off, we're going to want to download the Stop Motion Studio app. Next up, we're going to make new movie, and then, of course, get our Legos and set ready. And here, we set the frame rate to 12 frames per second, so it can run more smoothly. Also, make sure that you make the camera focus into manual, and then this adjusts it to whatever focus you want. Also, make sure that you have like lamps for the light source, like what I'm doing right here. It makes kind of like a different kind of light style, which is pretty optimal for stop motion. But first, we're going to work on easing in and out. This just makes your frames more fluent. Basically, all easing in and out is slightly adjusting your Lego minifigure, like I'm doing right now. Slightly, very little amount of change in his position, and then move it a little bit more than the last one, like that. And then even more, so it makes it seem more like fluent and rapid, and then slow it down again, very little movement, and then a very, very little movement. This will make the animation sequence run more smoothly. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like when you don't ease in and out, when you just make it choppy. Without easing in and out, you don't really have any sense of slight movements and then rapid movements, because every single motion in reality has a slow point to gather up momentum and then a fast point, which is where the motion comes in. But that, you see, that doesn't look as fluent as this. The second one is more choppy. Now we're going to work on camera movement. Camera movement is very important when you're doing attacks or swings or just walking in general. You gotta follow the direction the character is punching, slicing, or walking. This all makes sense when you see the finished product. So when the camera's following the character, it makes it seem more entertaining to watch, I guess. So we're going to follow it back so you see the kind of consistent motion back and forth following the characters swinging. Now this next part of camera movement is going to be really more difficult than what we've been doing, so we're going to get this rig that I made to have this. So basically she's going to throw the sword into the air and then catch it, and that's what the rig is for, to hold it in the air as I take the picture. So this is going to create kind of it makes the camera seem more alive. It makes you feel like you're actually looking around, seeing what's going on, instead of just a still camera, because that makes things kind of boring. Alright, now we're on to camera angles. You see, with this camera angle, it makes things look a lot more... It gives it kind of a different style, if that makes any sense. And with this camera angle, we're working on jumping, like that. So basically, when you follow it again, it makes you seem like you're really there, more lively of a camera. Next, we're going to work on speed. We're going to want to ease in with the character. I made this brick kind of build more like a motion blur, and you'll see in a minute why that makes it seem a little more faster. So you saw with that, it makes him seem like he's going super fast. And now we're working on, I don't really know if you're going to need this, but building Lego. You're going to want to take a Lego brick, place it in front of the character, but don't place it completely down. You're going to want to slowly place it completely on the stud, so it makes it seem like he's building it. Now we're going to work on wall jumping. We're going to be using Play-Doh to stick the figure to the brick wall that I built surrounding him. We're not going to be using the rig for this one because if we use the rig, it would kind of make it seem a little too slow and not very professional. We want it to look as fluent as possible, and the rig kind of ruins it by making it seem like there was no masking involved. Basically, masking is like removing rigs so it looks like the character's like floating in the air or flying or jumping. But with this, we're using Play-Doh since the space between the walls isn't that big. That's pretty much the basics of what you need to do Lego stop motion animations.